Media Dialogues in 2022.
Hi, welcome to Media Dialogues. I'm Anuradha Sengupta. It's time for India's biggest media property and one of the most valuable sporting leagues anywhere in the world. It's IPL season. The 15th edition will start on March 26th and go on right up to the end of May. It'll be even more exciting this year thanks to the debut of two new teams. Now, one of those teams, the Lucknow Super Giants, has already put together a really strong team led by KL Rahul. In October, the RP Sanjiv Goenka group stunned the world with that 7,090 crore rupee bid for the franchise. To talk about how they're creating this new brand from scratch and the pace of monetization, as well as his strategy and plans for the consumer-focused businesses that this very diversified group has, I'm joined now by Sanjiv Goenka, the chairman of the RP Sanjiv Goenka Group. Mr. Goenka, thank you so much for making time to join the show.
It's a pleasure to be on your show always.
What can you tell us about what's going on? We saw the player auctions. Everybody's been commenting about the strength of the team that you've built. What exactly is happening at your end now? Because I know you're leading things pretty much from the front where it comes to the Lucknow Super Giants.
So far, it's been a three-part process. The first was focusing on the bid. The second was really focusing on the three allowed or permitted retentions. And the third was to put together a team. So after we had achieved the first two, then the focus was on trying to put together what we believe would be a fiercely competitive team. And so we tried to focus on players with multi-skills, multidisciplinary players. So if you see KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock are wicket keepers and batsmen. We've got 5 solid pure play all-rounders in the team. We've got some specialist bowlers, we've got some specialist batsmen. And all of them are good fielders. We do believe we have a very competitive team. It's something that we worked hard on. Gautam was very intensely involved, as was KL, as was Andy Flower. And along with our own management team, I think there was a lot of research, there was a lot of work. And it seems that the team has come together well. There's a good balance to the team. But now, this was one part. But the next and the most important part is to go out and perform.
What is your immediate reaction to the schedule that's just been announced? I think Lucknow Super Giants will play about 14 matches. They are in Group A. There are 3 IPL winning teams in that, starting with Mumbai Indians. Is it now all up to KL Rahul and the boys in terms of how the team will perform? What is the role that the owner, the team management will play now that the schedule is out? Or is it just up to the boys?
Well, I think it's always a collaborative effort. On the pitch, it is up to the boys. But outside the pitch, the management has a role to play in creating the right environment, in creating the right motivation, in urging them or stimulating them to go that extra mile. So I think that is what we will attempt to do. And it's something, frankly, I've learned over the years that in a sport, it's at that moment, it's at that day. You can do extremely well, or you may just falter, or the other team may perform much better than you. So, it's not only about winning, but it's about competing and competing to your strengths. You don't compete against just one team or 2 teams. You're going to compete against 9 other teams.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, as long as we realize we're not going to win every match, but as long as we win enough to first get into the playoffs, I mean, we're okay. But we certainly are not going to lose sight of the trophy, even though it may be our first year.
Right. What are the lessons, Mr. Goenka, from the Pune team that you ran for 2 years, 2016, 2017? In fact, in 2017, you lost the final. So what are the lessons from that outing and that experience?
Couple of very important lessons. As I said earlier, in sport, nobody can predict you can win or you can lose. It's at that moment, at that point in time. Secondly, you can be a young team. You can be a team without significant stars. But if every player goes out for that extra mile, you can still win. So Pune was a young team. We had a lot of people who were making their debut or near debuts. And a lot of young Indian players, a lot of international players who were not that famous. And it was the youth, it was their enthusiasm, it was their never say die atmosphere or the spirit, I mean, from the dressing room to the pitch. I think that is what made the difference. And we had great leadership, we had great minds, we had MS at one end, we had Steve Smith at another end. So two very, very strong minds, along with Faf du Plessis. And I think it worked. It worked for us.
Give us a sense of the kind of sponsor interest that's coming in when you're with the new team. Or is this, are you looking at the other RP, Sanjiv Goenka group companies, especially the consumer-focused ones, to come in as sponsors or anchor sponsors? Because I would imagine that this is a great way to build a pan-India connect with the entire group's businesses, isn't it?
The way we do it is that each sector takes an independent call, and then the negotiations are held completely independently between the Lucknow Super Giants management and that company's management. And then it's up to them to take a call. All things being equal, yes, we would give a preference to our own companies. But if others come and give us a better deal, then so be it.
Can you tell us anything about the sponsor interest that's been expressed so far? Has it been an exciting market to go out and pitch the team to?
It's been huge, actually. I think this 26 crore population of Uttar Pradesh is really coming in as a huge market. And the interest is overwhelming. So it puts us in a happy situation. So where you pick and choose, you can say no, you can bargain hard. And almost all our spots are closed now. We just have one or two left, probably one.
Any announcements you want to make today?
No, I think in course of time, yes, but we've already announced our front of jersey sponsors, which is My Circle 11. All I can say is we've got some very good deals, very, very good deals, and I'm quite satisfied with the way that part has gone.
You're satisfied with that. I'm sure you have an eye on the media rights that BCCI will put up for sale in, a month or two. The next 5 years, the expected valuation was about 35,000 crores. Now, some people are saying 50,000 crores. What is your sense, given that you do have, an idea of the media and entertainment business, sports as a business? Where do you see those rights land? Because that will have a direct impact on what the team franchises will earn, isn't it, from BCCI?
Frankly, it's not for me to speculate on this, but the sense I get is that there is huge interest. There will be intense bidding, and you could well see rates which are higher than were earlier anticipated. But frankly, neither do I know, neither am I an authority on this. It's not for me to say. But I definitely feel it will be higher than was anticipated earlier.
So 50,000 crores, which is a figure that was going around, you don't see that as being unrealistic?
I'd be delighted if it went to 50,000 or even higher. Who's to say where it will go? But this whole business of sport and the valuation behind the business of sport, I think it's undergoing a paradigm shift. And so getting higher valuations is really not a big deal or a big surprise.
Right. I want you to elaborate a little bit on what you just said, paradigm shift in terms of and the impact it has on valuations. But what about being able to recover those investments? Do you see that also shifting and sort of happening optimally, or do you think it's just a frenzy right now to have a foothold in the valuations game?
It's not about just you don't look at the net contributions from each investment necessarily. You look at the whole package.
Sure.
So if Star or Amazon or Jio or Sony or whoever it is, it's not just about the IPL rights, it's about the whole package and the kind of popularity and eyeballs it adds to that channel.
Mr. Goenka, you have other interests in the sporting business, in Mohan Bagan, the Mavericks, in Kolkata Mavericks, in table tennis. How do you see the sports business in India in terms of the IPL? Of course, has made it global. Has made it to the global stage when it comes to valuation, audiences, brand franchise interests. Where do you see other sports as a business and their ability to be profitable and scale up?
Football, it's a question of time before it becomes profitable. It's gaining every year. And I think maybe 2 years, 3 years more, and it should get to being profitable. Table tennis, the investments were low to begin with.
Yeah.
So you make very marginal losses. And hopefully there will be enough broadcaster interest going forward. But it's really insignificant. It's also about building a brand. It's also about encouraging people, younger people,
yes,
creating that ecosystem for sports.
I want to pull out a little bit from the IPL and sports and get a sense of the media business, because you've got, the Open Magazine, Hello, Fortune India, and you also acquired Editor G, the news, the app-based news site. So what is your vision for the media business? And given that digital advertising has already overtaken the prints on spend, how do you see this ecosystem play out, and what are your plans for the future?
Well, we are slowly but steadily increasing our presence in that space, and we will continue to do so. We would look for associations with major international brands because that gives us a leg up. We will definitely expand our digital presence, but we are not in a tearing hurry. We will do it cautiously, steadily, but definitely.
Right. But when you said you're looking at international tie-ups, is it in print or in the digital space? And how do you see print, the role or the print play, given that print newsrooms have shrunk over the past 2 years, and people, even though India, the print medium is still growing, advertising spends on print has definitely come down vis-a-vis digital.
It has, and the ratio has changed dramatically. But having said that, though digital is growing, print is still there.
Yes.
And print is still a viable medium and will be a viable medium for the foreseeable future.
Let's talk a little bit about the retail space also, because these are all the consumer-focused businesses where brands come into play and are very, very critical. I heard you in another conversation say that, when it comes to Spencer's and the retail business, even though you've had the Nature's Basket acquisition, you don't want to be, in quotes, another Future. So you don't want to bring on big debt and to fund expansion. What is your strategy? Also, given that in the last 2 years of the experience of the pandemic and the accelerated digital adoption that we saw, where do you see retail expansion in the coming, in this year and the next?
We will add significant square footage to our retail operations. We've increased our out-of-store sales hugely. So whether it's phone delivery, whether it's online, those kind of things we are focusing a lot on. And that business has doubled for us over the last 12 months. And that is something that we will grow aggressively. We will grow on these areas, but we want to grow profitably. We don't want to grow recklessly. We don't want to invest for the sake of investment. We don't want to expand for the sake of expanding. So we will grow in selected geographies. So in Bengal, we've grown to being the biggest retailer. In UP, we went from having a couple of stores to 34 stores now, and we will expand even further. In coastal Andhra, we are the biggest retailers. So we are focusing on a few areas. In Mumbai, Nature's Basket has a huge presence. So, these are kind of geographies that we will focus on. And hopefully, once COVID is over and footfalls start coming back, we will see, we expect to see a higher growth in physical store sales.
Tell us about the Saregama business, because you have this library. You had this really moving tribute to Lata Mangeshkar, who we lost recently. What are the changes that you see in this business? We know about the Carvaan innovation, where you suddenly took your library and made it available via this retro, beautifully designed piece of hardware. What is the future where the music business is concerned, and the movie business, which you're investing in, but via small movies?
Saregama is a company that's reinvented itself completely in terms of technology, in terms of approach, in terms of management, in terms of the whole outlook. And there is a lot of innovation that's happening with product delivery, digitization. So on the one hand, we have this phenomenal repertoire of old songs.
Yes.
And Carvaan was one way of capitalizing upon that repertoire, which nobody else could offer. And using technology, making it simple, and delivering songs at not the click of a button, but pushing a knob.
Yes.
So, it was the same technology. It was the same thing. It was same digitization, but presented in an old world manner. We are ready with the next iteration of Carvaan, which is, to my mind, quite outstanding. We launched a karaoke version last year. And you will see other versions now coming out with more and more offerings. So that's one part. Very strongly focusing on new Hindi film audio rights is the second part. So we've now got the biggest banners with us. So Dharma is with us. Sanjay Leela Bhansali is with us. Akshay Kumar's last film was with us. So we are getting into this back in a big way. And over the last fortnight, I do believe that we were number one in Hindi, in Telugu, in Bhojpuri, and in Tamil. And that's speaking a lot. So we are not going to be only Hindi. We are going to start focusing on regional music very strongly. And we've started doing that, and it's meeting with a lot of success. As far as films are concerned, we've got about 17 or 18 films on OTT platforms. And it was a conscious, deliberate strategy to focus on not small, but films which could be made within a certain amount of money. It was not the grand films that some of the bigger banners make. It was films that could be shot within 30 days, 35 days, not 100, 120 days. It was films which would appeal to audiences of a particular region for sure. So we made a film which was close to Northeast. I mean, how they suffer.
Yeah.
or they are ragged
Yes.
when they move to other parts of the country. And it became a hit. We made a lot of films which were specific to the Hindi heartland. And they again became a hit. So we're taking subjects, themes, ideas, which focus on not necessarily the whole country, but specific regions. And then we get very strong eyeballs from those regions.
One final question. And you have been doing a lot of conversations where you had to be, you're actually doing the math and the calculations for that bid for Lucknow Super Giants, right? So I won't make you go through that. But you've ended up saying that when you do all the math, your team actually will cost you some 2,200 crore rupees, and that's great value to get into IPL. That's what I have got from the conversations you've been doing so far. This is a business proposition, of course, but Mr. Goenka, is the IPL team and your interest also personal at some point? Is this beyond business? Does this go beyond business?
You know, frankly, for any business to succeed, you have to be passionate about it. And I personally believe, if you run a business, it could be retail, it could be music, it could be power, it could be software, it could be cricket. If you're not passionate about that business, if your team is not passionate about that business, if you do not have the efficiency and the competency to excel in that business, you will not succeed. So passion or fondness or vanity notwithstanding, you did not take that word, I'm taking it. But that notwithstanding, at the end of the day, you don't invest 7,000 crores for vanity.
Of course.
Or personal pleasures. You go and watch a movie for personal pleasure. You go for a holiday for a personal pleasure. But you don't do this for a personal pleasure. So this is, I certainly enjoy sport. I enjoy cricket a lot. But that's not the reason why I would invest in this. If it did not make business sense to me, I would not have invested. It's as simple as that. And I do believe if the broadcast rights go at the kind of monies that the press is talking about, and I have no idea what it'll go at, but if it does go at, say, 50,000 crores, then my net outgo will be lower than 2,200 even.
Yeah, so the maths continue. I can hear that. Mr. Goenka, I wish you a lot of luck. I wish the Lucknow Super Giants a great run, hopefully right up to the final and beyond, which is holding the trophy. Good luck, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
Media Dialogues in 2022.